All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are breaking down a really powerful philosophy for unlocking that potential that you know lives inside you. Think of it as a blueprint for walking through life not as a question, but as a command. So the only thing to ask yourself is, are you ready to answer the call? Right from the very start, the source material sets this incredibly urgent tone. See, this isn't just a collection of interesting ideas or some friendly advice you can take or leave. It's framed as a summons, a direct call to action for anyone out there who feels that inner restlessness, that nagging sense that you were meant for so much more. So what exactly is this divine summons? Well, the core idea is pretty simple, but it's profound. That silence, or maybe that unease you might be feeling inside, that isn't confusion. It's actually a divine order. It's a command from the deepest part of you to stop living small, to stop apologizing for your ambition, and to finally embrace the power you were sent here with. And this, right here, gets to the absolute heart of the problem this philosophy is trying to solve. So many of us move through life with this deep-seated hesitation, almost like we're intruders asking for permission to chase our own destiny. The source argues this happens when we forget who sent us, when we forget that we already have all the authority we need. So this lays it out, right? Two paths, two completely different identities. On one side, you've got the man who waits. He's hesitant, he's always looking for approval, and frankly, he's easily controlled by all the noise and self-doubt out there. But on the other side, the man who was sent. He walks with power, he acts with authority, and he is just ungovernable by weakness. The real question is, which one are you being called to become? And this is the end game. This is the ultimate outcome of that choice. When you truly align with this inner authority, this feeling of being sent, you become, as the source puts it, ungovernable. Not ungovernable by laws, of course, but by fear, by doubt, by the opinions of others. You're just no longer controlled by the chaos of the world because you're tuned in to a much clearer, much stronger signal from within. So the big question is, how do you actually become ungovernable? How do you make that inner authority real? Well, it all starts with our first core principle, the law of action. And the idea is simple, but man, is it powerful. Your beliefs, your intentions, they're completely meaningless until you give them life through physical movement. Here's the key thing to get. Action is the only language your subconscious really understands. Every single time you move, especially when you're afraid or uncertain, you are physically proving your belief to yourself. Waiting, on the other hand, that just reinforces doubt. That divine power, that infinite intelligence, it doesn't really care about your feelings. It only responds to your movement. I mean, think about someone like Thomas Edison. He's the perfect embodiment of this law. He didn't just believe in the light bulb. He acted on that belief over and over and over. Each one of those 10,000 attempts wasn't a failure. It was a physical confirmation of his conviction. He kept moving, and that relentless movement is what created a result that literally changed the world.
This right here, this is the antidote to hesitation. The single biggest thing that stops us from taking action is that feeling of not being ready. This is a command to override that feeling. You don't wait to feel ready, you create readiness by being obedient to your purpose.
Okay, but action by itself isn't enough. Action without direction is just chaos. It needs to be fueled by a disciplined mind, which brings us to our next pillar, the law of thought. This is all about recognizing that your mind is the absolute command center of your authority, and you have to guard it fiercely. I absolutely love this phrase, God cannot move through clutter. Think about it. A mind that's divided, distracted, and polluted with fear and doubt, it just can't channel that divine power effectively. All that mental clutter leads to weak actions and faded potential. Controlled, focused attention, that's the only bridge to get you where you want to go. So how do you actually guard your mind? You use this one simple question as a filter, a non-negotiable filter. For every single thought that tries to enter, you have to ask, does this serve my mission? If the answer is yes, fine, let it in. If the answer is no, it gets rejected. Instantly, no negotiation. It's a simple but incredibly powerful tool for mental clarity.
And for a real-world example of this in action, look no further than John D. Rockefeller. While the entire world was being consumed by financial panic, he was famously calm. He simply refused to let the external chaos become internal chaos. His attention was locked onto his purpose, and because of that unwavering focus, his results were almost inevitable.
So our thoughts shape our actions, but our words shape our thoughts. This brings us to the third pillar in this whole blueprint, the law of speech. This law says that every single word you speak is a direct instruction, a piece of code that you are feeding directly into your subconscious mind. This is all about a powerful mechanism called autosuggestion. You see, your subconscious mind is like a loyal soldier. It doesn't question your commands, it just obeys whatever it hears most often, especially when it's spoken with conviction. It doesn't care if the command is "I am weak" or "I am powerful." It will execute either one without fail. I mean, look at the difference here. It's so stark. Words like "I hope" or "I'll try," they're fundamentally weak instructions. They literally program your subconscious with the permission to fail. But words of command, "I declare," "I instruct," "I affirm," these program certainty, they activate power. It's a simple shift in vocabulary that can honestly change everything. Now, to make this law practical, the source offers something it calls the identity script. And this is positioned as way more than just an affirmation. It's a spiritual decree. It's a set of powerful words you speak every single day to consciously reprogram your subconscious and install a new identity of authority and purpose. Okay, so we have the building blocks now: action, thought, and speech. So let's look at the blueprint for actually putting them into practice. The source combines them into a daily ritual, and it's all built on the principle that repetition forges identity. You become what you repeatedly do, think, and say. Here it is, the blueprint for that daily practice, the daily altar. It's a short, four-step process to align your actions, your thoughts, and your words with your highest purpose. And it's not presented as a suggestion. It's presented as a required discipline if you really want transformation. And you know, Abraham Lincoln's story is such a powerful testament to this idea. He didn't just become a great leader on the day he was elected. He forged that identity in private, through his own daily rituals of principle and honor, long before he was ever given the title. He practiced being the man he was called to be, until the world simply had no choice but to acknowledge it.
The message here couldn't be clearer. You have to be the first one to move. You prove your belief not just with words, but through obedience to your calling. The miracle doesn't show up before you move. The move is precisely what summons the miracle.
And so we're left with this as the ultimate instruction. This isn't something to just analyze or think about. It's something to be embodied. It's a final command designed to cancel that old self, the one who hesitates and waits, and to baptize you into the new identity, the one who is sent. And so this explanator ends not with a neat summary, but with a direct challenge. It puts the responsibility squarely on your shoulders. The blueprint has been laid out, the laws have been explained, and the command has been given. The only question that's left is a very personal one for you to answer. Will you obey?